Want to add something?
Well, Chairman, as soon as we get started in our meeting, I'm gonna give you 1 second, and I'll let you know. And we're
I have that one item to read.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd probably call the meeting to order. I'd probably do the lay in acknowledgement, and then when we get to the approval of the agenda, you can ask the committee if they would support adding the additional item, and if they do, we can definitely add it.
Okay. So. I call the meeting to order. And we respectively zone the township pattern of mountains located in trees for the Municipal territory, the additional territory of the Mississippi and batch. And we offer our gratitude to First Nation for their care for the teaching of their last meeting. Approval of the agenda. I would like to add an item under 37 King Street. Very into the discussion took place at 37 King. Excuse me?
East or west?
West.
The property.
Dialysis.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, will we just add that under our budget discussions under 7.2 general business? Is that your intentions?
It's fine. Accept. Trustee John. In favor. Discussion of the pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. There is none. Closed session, there is none. Minutes. We have approval of the minutes, of our minutes. Motion to accept them.
Nancy?
Nancy. I've seen Nancy very often. Feel better when you work here. Okay, and the seconder and John, all in favor. And minutes of the meeting held September 21st.
Through Mr. Chairman, we just approved those with Ms. Davis and Mr. Colbert. So now we're on to 7.1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So 7.1, 2024 budget discussion and work plan.
Named by that, so I'll jump in. So I think we just need to, as we're getting our budget prepared, we need to just get some clarity as to what exactly we're putting forward. I think there's really just 3 questions that are kind of outstanding on my end, but I'm going to just take you through each of them. So bear with me. And Karen, if you want to jump in at any time, just feel free. The station parkette, by the mural landscaping, so we had put $1,000 in there just for some general landscaping. Just to give you a little bit of history that maybe I have been remiss in providing, but we received some funding through the Regional Tourism Organization to upgrade the trails, upgrade that little parkette there, build some bridges in the trails. So as part of that, the mural kind of tied into that, going at that location. And I think we thought that we would put some plantings, kind of dress it up a little bit with some landscaping. At the time, there was some work being done, some dredging, some ditching and stuff like that that had to be done at the parkette area there. And then we were also doing the public works building. So, and we're still working on the mural. So I would propose we carry that forward, if the committee is okay with that, so that we can do that when the mural is complete. Springville and
Can I just, if I may,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, so that would be a rollover then at that time.
yes,
So it's not new dollars, it's a
it's not new
rollover.
dollars. It's
So that's $1,000 talking about.
Yeah.
Throwing over.
Springville Ebenezer Cemetery Restoration. I believe that's an ongoing budget that comes through the clerk's department. Review and update to current heritage bylaws. I think we did discuss at the last meeting that we did receive an approval to extend the funding that we received through the Young Canada Works program. It would extend through to March. We have made provisions, so this would be a rollover. So,
That's correct.
yes,
And we've just for the committee information through you, Mr. Chairperson, that and we're just double checking the existing job description to make sure it's still current and accurate, and then we're getting ready to repost. So this position is Connor's position.
Just for clarification, Ms. Ellis, will it be 13.5 or will we have a different dollar value? We'll just lock in that dollar value once we figure out what that is for rollover.
Through you, Mr. Chairperson, to Ms. Page. So I am clarifying that with finance. I know that we do have the funds to carry us through.
So we'll
They've
just
already been
leave,
allocated, so I believe it's a rollover, but I want to double check.
so we'll just leave the dollar value blank if the committee is
Yeah.
good with that, and we'll put that in whatever that dollar value is. Okay, perfect. Good.
the Heritage Awards, we a while ago had decided as a committee that we would kind of keep $500 in the budget to allow for if nominations occurred. We would do a certificate, we would do, just an ad in the paper, that sort of thing. It is a rolling nomination, so there isn't a deadline for it. So we don't currently have any nominations right now, so we have not spent $500. It is my intent that we will roll that over as part of our operating budget, but looking for direction from the committee if anybody has any concerns about it.
I don't know whether that's worth hanging on. I don't think it was a success. Personally. There wasn't a lot of interest in it.
Do you have a feeling why there is a lack of interest?
I don't know, it was something new. And it's not that there weren't a lot of improvements made within the village. It just didn't seem to get picked up by enough people. Yes,
Can I make a point? I heard saying that, I was thinking about this after our last meeting, that, I think it was you, John, made that comment, last meeting about how much it costs to make a restoration. That a lot of restoration projects cost a lot more than $500 and people are looking for more money. And so the other thing is that we are in an economic situation right now where, you know, a lot of businesses and organizations that may take advantage of this are reining in their, but they're pulling back on their expenses, so they may do with what they got. So I would argue to move it forward, but to add to it.
So through you, Chair, just for clarification, this is just for the awards. I think what you were referring to was the community improvement
Oh,
plan.
CIP,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
same sort of idea though, like it's awards, sorry, I got confused there for a minute.
Yeah.
No, but the idea of the awards and whatever, like maybe people aren't doing as many restorations or whatever, given the economy. And so maybe a lot of folks, we don't know that, you know, maybe they made small changes, but I don't see a lot of people doing undertaking big renovations to the places that would be notable for heritage awards, so, yeah.
And then to Mr. Chair again, if you take it away and then you decide, oh, someone's done something, now we want to give them an award, now we got to process the resurrect. So
No, that's a good point.
I guess if you don't have an award
Yeah,
this year, what happens to that 500?
I don't think it's good then.
Is it still interest?
Yeah, so I think the only thing is that when we come to budget time, we do have to be mindful that if the funds have not been spent, council may ask the question. Which staff can answer that and just say it is something that carries just in case there is a big project or a small project that we want to recognize. Yeah,
We'll leave it.
roll it over. The downtown mural, we did discuss that at last meeting. That is going to be a rollover that we are trying to get a meeting with the artists to get a rendering put together. We have been just trying to connect with them. So that will be a rollover for 2024 budget. The existing mural restoration and maintenance, we put in $1,500, and that is just to do an annual restoration to the existing mural. We put $1,500 in originally. He charges like what $250 an hour to do the work. We weren't really sure for this year whether it was going to take an hour or whether it was going to take a day. So that's why we put that in. He has done the work for this year. He hasn't submitted an invoice yet. So I am chasing him for that. But again, that's something that we, I think as a committee decided we would kind of keep that in there to, just in case you don't know what kind of winter you're going to get, you don't know what kind of weather you're going to get. So on an annual basis, you may have to, you may only spend an hour doing restoration of that mural, or you may spend 5 hours, depending on how much damage is done by weather events. So I'm proposing that we keep that and roll it over into 2024.
Very well.
Do we want, through you, Chairman, do you want to keep the topped up $1,500 every year, no matter what that invoice comes in at for maintenance? So we can offset that for 1,500, is that a thought?
Yeah, I believe so, because we don't know how much damage is going to be done on an annual basis, right?
If I could just ask through you, Mr. Chair. At what, like, that's money going out every year. What happens if that artist gets injured? Whatever, and then can't, you know, you've got a different artist now that's gonna have to try and do that, and whether or not there is benefit of getting a duplicate made that's on a panel. That's one and done, never have to put any more money into it.
So to mount a panel onto the
To
building.
do a duplicate of that mural on a mountable panel, that would be long lasting.
And so, sorry, just for clarification, through you, Chair, would we actually mount that panel or just have it as?
We would mount the panel, and because there was some discussion at one point if that building was sold,
Mhm.
or if Tinny was to do something and develop that property, that mural would be lost.
Mhm.
So if we had that mural on a mountable system, then if that happens, we can do it.
So we did explore that with the building owner. And the building owner was concerned about mounting anything to the brickwork. So that's why we pursued doing the mural at an alternate location. But there's no reason why we couldn't try and see if we could get a digital remake of the print.
Yeah.
To just have in our inventory,
Yeah.
should that happen. We may have to put it somewhere else.
Right.
If that makes sense, but we did explore the option of actually mounting it as opposed to painting it every year, and the building owner had said he did not want something mounted to the building.
That's the way the new mural is gonna be done.
Right,
It'll be produced on a panel and panel.
right. Yeah.
So this one could be duplicated too. I don't know how much it would cost.
Well, we can ask John when we meet,
Yeah.
we can just ask if he would be able to do a digital rendering of it.
Yeah.
Just for our files.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we may have to, depending on what that is, we may have to add that to the budget, but we can cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, the 2019-2020 and the 2021 CIP incentives, though there will be no rollover, those programs end as of December 2023. So there's no rollover of those. I think we only have, between the two programs, we only have 3 outstanding projects. So I'm chasing them to make sure that they get them done. The 2021 township-wide CIP, I think that was the question we had.
Yeah.
We kind of centered on the existing CIP it's currently available to the urban and rural areas. It has not been to date, nobody's made any application. So we are asking for a rollover to allow for more applications. We are kind of chasing candidates to see if they would be interested in applying. I think the question we had is that at one point, council had said they would like to do alternating years. So one year they would do urban and rural area, the following year they would do downtown Millbrook. This 2024 would be the year for that Millbrook CIP. I think the question that came to the committee is if the funds have not been allocated or spent, is it really appropriate for us to ask for another 25,000? And I think that's kind of, we kind of talked about it, but I don't think we ever actually made a resolution. So that's time to open for that.
I can make my comment.
Yeah.
But the first one, I did recover that. Anyway, my concern is that, if you, didn't we say, was it up to $8,000 that people could get, or a little bit more?
It's 8,000 on some programs. It's 8,000. You can in downtown Millbrook, if there is a preferred, I think I'm not using the right language, but if it is kind of like a preferred site,
Yeah.
You can apply for up to 10.
Okay, so the point that was made at the last meeting, basically we were talking about, that renovation project, especially with something like the downtown building, is probably going to be substantial. And so if the company is not doing well, or right now I'd say we're in a soft recession, businesses have been reining in their extra expenditures. And so they may be waiting to see what happens. The interest rates are not very good either for borrowing money for the balance of that. So that would be part of my argument to council, is to say, I think it could be promoted better. I'm not sure there are lots of different ways of doing that, that we could explore. Right now, just saying for your presentation to council. But we do need to I think it's good to roll it over. We don't know what the economy is gonna do. Supposedly it's gonna recover, but we're not so sure. But I would say that to give that another chance for the rural CIP and the suburban, because that may be a factor. I mean, just talking to people who are entrepreneurs and own businesses right now, they're sticking to their basics. They have to spend the money on right now. The wages have gone up and whatever they've had to, so, yeah.
Mr. Chair, you're talking about rolling that 25,000 over and add another 25 to it.
Yeah, that's, yeah,
I think.
that's
I
the
think
question
we-
on
I think
it.
we've got to be cautious here because the taxpayers are looking at their tax bills and they're saying, why are we spending money that nobody picked it up? Spend that 25,000, either roll it over, I would be agreeable to roll it over, but I'm not gonna start adding on to it because we gotta start cutting back here someplace along the line.
Yeah,
Things are getting tighter out there every day.
yeah,
One thing, the taxes,
no, I agree.
I work for the public,
Yeah,
they're saying, how do we spend?
yeah, so what about rolling over something it's not $25,000, but roll over maybe another 10,000 out of the 25,000, just to add a little bit to it.
Through your chair, I think, Councillor Edgerton you're agreeable to keeping the 25 and rolling it over, just not adding.
Yeah, let's not start adding on.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, but, you know,
Yeah,
I
we
just,
can argue the point we're holding.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
then the argument I have about that is then we need to do a lot more promotion of this program to make the people who would most benefit. Because otherwise we might be in the same position next year where we have a pile of money and we don't need to do it. So,
So next year, then, we're getting 25.
We're at
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
yeah,
25, so
yeah,
I would be, Mr. Chair, I would be agreeable to
Roll it over.
roll it over. But we're not adding any more to the burden. We're good.
Mhm. Everyone agreeable to that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, can I have a point of clarification? When it gets rolled over, and then, so we're gonna roll it over to 2024, is it then gonna be used for the urban fringe in the rural area again? Are we gonna go to that? Are we gonna go to the original CIP area in Millbrook? Are we gonna open it wide open? Can we give some direction so when we do the presentation to council, they have an idea, okay, we're gonna roll it over and here's where we're gonna use it.
My suggestion would be roll it over, open it up wide, first come, first serve. I don't know if that's the way something else here now, but to roll it over, open up everybody, probably.
But anyone can make an offer, you.
Yeah.
Use the money.
I think that would be fair. Because then anybody who was in the rural sort of suburban fringe plan would still have the opportunity to do it. You know, they might not understand that, oh, now the money's going to downtown Millbrook, they might just figure it out. You know, wonder if they could apply with their project, so that way you're still, you know, that. And you might want to, I don't know what people think about this, but maybe you might want to allocate a certain amount of money to the rural and suburban out of the 25,000 and then a certain amount for the downtown Millbrook. Would that be useful? But the first come, first served thing, I agree, it's, hey, let's just get people in to do this, but I'm kind of wondering if we should, I'm just throwing it out there as devil's advocate. You know, how about designating the funding a certain way? So we're saying if the people in Millbrook, downtown Millbrook are waiting for this to come and they're thinking there's going to be $25,000 we can apply for, not in total, but there's a pot of money here, right? Then, you know, you're splitting the amount in some way, like maybe 2/3 to downtown Millbrook, you know, a third of it in there for the rural area to give them a chance. I don't know if people think of that, but it's just the thought.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm running for competition.
Okay.
You throw it out.
Okay, yeah.
And everybody's gonna go, okay, now. Who's,
That's
first come,
true.
first served.
That's true. There's that
Right.
element. Yeah.
And then, you've got, out of that 25,000, you got a potentially maximum 10. right, that you can use, so you
Yeah.
got basically 2.5 people that can do it. But I also would put on the option that if, let's say you only get one person that applies, and they can take advantage of the 25, there might be more incentive for them to take on a bigger project if they know they can get more money, or is there provincial legislation to a maximum of 10?
Yeah, it's to a maximum, it's 50% to a maximum of 8 if they meet the eligibility requirements of a priority site, was the word I was looking for. Then they can apply to up to 10, but that's the max they can apply for.
All right.
Just a point of clarification, Bridge, then is that maximum 10 per program, or is that all you can get? If you're just Joe Blow property owner?
It's not per program. There are different limitations. So I think your sidewalk patio in downtown Millbrook, there's a limit, I believe, of 5,000. Out in the urban and rural area, although it is available to the Millbrook area as well. You can do the development charges, you can do the tax increment, which is a lot larger. But again, you're dealing with a small amount of money. So the tax increment is basically, you can defer paying your taxes. So if you take a vacant piece of land and you pay vacant taxes, and then you develop that land, then the taxes you're going to pay on that development are going to go from 0 to 60. So it's a big hit. So there's the opportunity to defer it, and the municipality can kind of help subsidize it, not all of it. Obviously, we have a limitation as to what, but I don't think we established a limit on that particular one. I'd have to double check, but yeah. You have a limit just in what you've budgeted for, right?
We could market the first come, first serve. I mean, you could generate the enthusiasm of saying, get in here now.
As soon as the ball drops on New Year's.
Yeah.
The door's open.
Through you, Chair, having been a part of the committee that reviews the applications, I think we need to stop using the term first come, first serve. Because there's quite an application, and I think that wouldn't be fair in the sense of what needs to be included in your applications, because
There is a weight on the.
there's a
the
way,
valuation.
yes, and I
We have to-
think if we start just saying first come, first serve, it kind of just almost throws out all the background and the work that was done and lead up to creating that program in itself.
I had no idea.
Yes, yeah, there's a committee, we sit down, we evaluate every application that comes through, there's a grading criteria. Not only for each application, but then also how it goes into each different category within the program as itself.
Could there be more information out there for people about what the criteria is?
It's all part of the application process.
Okay,
Yeah.
is it, I mean, if people look at the application, but in order to generate interest, would that be useful?
Yeah, so there is a pre-consultation that they are to go through, so they can set up an appointment with staff to go over the program and what we would be looking for in terms of a successful application. Sorry, Ashley.
No, I was just gonna say through you, Chair, that like the first, like we're going like right back to when this first started, when it was just downtown Millbrook. The first year it was a little slow getting started. People were just sort of figuring out the applications, which made complete sense. The second year, it was just tons of applications. People were starting to figure it out. And then we went through the whole process of opening it up and all of that research to this urban fringe. I think it's just the same sort of thing as a bit of a learning curve. I think too, it is also perhaps reflective of what's going on out there right now. Perhaps it's not the amount that's available isn't sort of proportional to what is needed. And who knows, it could have been, if it was Millbrook this year, we could have the same scenario. People are just trying to be cautious and safe. So
And then through your chair, in terms of awareness, I think to the BIA was part of the process to create the plan. So I think they were more anxious and watching for it to come online. There were members of the urban fringe and rural area we had a couple of members of the agricultural society, we had members from the Whittington Drive industrial area, but maybe they haven't quite have paid attention to to its availability. So it may be something that we have to kind of go out and.
Yeah, I think it's maybe more promotion could help to get the ones who do the money to do the renovations. And then the other ones, we may be in the same position next year if the economy gets worse or stays the same. Not as many people available, but with the money available, renovations for those projects. But that might be a thing to mention in the presentation to council to say, hey, like because of the economy, right now, a lot of people are taking on big sort of capital projects. We may be in a similar situation next year, I'm not sure. I don't know if that shoots us in the foot or what by mentioning that, but certainly all the stuff I've been reading about business right now, it's suggesting that folks are not extending themselves, especially not for one something. So.
Through you, Mr. Chair, when you were mentioning about the pre-consultation and the process, can you roughly tell me how many hours a person may spend going through that application process? Because sometimes they look at it and go, great, man, it's not worth it. It's a big hassle.
I think I agree with you there, but you probably have a better, like, she takes care of the pre-consultation.
Yeah. So are you talking in terms of the applicants, how much time they would? So having been somebody who actually does applications for funding for federal and provincial grants, I can tell you that our process is not as labor intensive. We do try and keep it fairly straightforward, but we do expect that you provide us with good reason why and photos of what you're proposing and how that's going to improve. We are mindful that we're giving dollars, taxpayer dollars, so we want to make sure that the taxpayer dollars are spent accordingly. So, do I think our application process, I think, is really 2 pages, which is not, in my mind, it's not over cumbersome. We did keep it fairly simple for that reason. We wanted to encourage people to apply. So.
The only other thing I would add within that is an actual quote. We need at least a minimum of 3 quotes if they can get it. And that outlines what that work is going to actually, that they're saying they're going to actually do. And then when we have the money and we go down to evaluate that work, we can see that they've actually done what they said they were going to do based on that quote.
Right.
That was the only other part I thought was really valuable.
Yeah, I think there's an expectation too, John, in the application form that they have to identify how this meets the goals and objectives of the plan.
That's
and
right.
that is,
Yeah.
and that's something during the pre-consultation process that
Yeah.
staff can help guide them in
Right.
responding to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So are we in agreement to? Yeah. Through your chair is the agreement amongst the committee that we just roll over the 25,000 with the intent to open it up to the greater area, or the recommendation. Ultimately, council is the one that makes that decision.
Yeah.
But that we would recommend to council that we roll it over and open it to the broader community.
Everybody in agreement?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Maybe the first, it's just the first and second.
Do
We're not quite finished
Okay,
yet.
quite finished.
We still have items 10, 11, and 12 to go through, and then we can, I think, to be fair, because we don't have final numbers, I think we can do a general motion, but I think so we get the numbers for, I'll use Connor's position, but that position, and then I don't think that the $7,000 mural doesn't fall under us, the $25,000 under you guys too. Is there any consideration with that $15,000 grant on this? For that CIP rollover, does that make a difference? That's the only question I have. We have that red $15,000 that we were given for the township wide. Do we have the rights? Or let me rephrase this. Is there any strings attached to that $15,000 if we expand it?
So that $15,000 has already been allocated. That
Okay.
15,000 was for the expansion of the home.
Okay,
Yeah. So
it's
it
not
is-
part of the 25,000.
It is
Okay,
not.
so I can take that off there then. And so there's no commitment, like it doesn't matter if we give it to everybody? Like there was nothing that said we had to give it to just the urban?
No, not unless council is not in support of doing that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think just once we finish the other 3 items there, the day I'll find. That's them.
And so in terms of the signage, I guess this is you and I, Peter, and
Okay.
me, whatever
Yeah,
that
way to go.
whatever it is. So we need a rollover. So I think we discussed at the last meeting that there's some happenings with the Springville Church and new information regarding improvements to Highway 7. And so we're kind of waiting to see how that progresses and where they go before we finalize the signage for Springville. We do have something drafted, but given the work that's ongoing with the Ministry of Transportation, we might need to amend or add to that. Interestingly enough, I just had an email this morning. I just had a quick look at it that they're finalizing the heritage information for the Springville Church. So, and the other areas along Highway 7. So I haven't had a chance to talk to the consultant to find out what the timing is or what things are. He just had a couple of questions that we need to respond to. So that work is ongoing, but is getting closer to being finalized. So at the next meeting, hopefully we will be able to give you some updated information about where we are and then how we might move forward on that project.
So at the present time, we'll just leave $3,000.
That would be my recommendation. And with Ebenezer, so Ebenezer, just, I'm not sure if everyone is aware, is a cemetery that that we look after, but it is on private property. The information on that cemetery is lean so far. So we are still digging to find some additional information, and I think Nancy and I are on that, so as well. So we need, I'm gonna be honest, we need more time to figure that one out.
And I'll just jump in, the Dale Parkette signage we have completed, so I've given it to Chris to install. So he was just bringing it into the workflow for his. Um,
11?
Yeah, so the Portside project, the next 2 items, we're looking to the committee to give us a little direction as to how much funds you thought you might need.
So the porcelain project, from what I considered, I think, first of all, we have to buy light bulbs, and that's one thing. Then we discussed window cling stickers. So not everyone will want one, I think, but we could be giving those to people who participate in the Porchlight project to put in the front window or whatever. And then we can talk about this suitability of that later, but I got the numbers. So I'm a little surprised that staff came back with $2,000 for bulbs, because I went on Amazon just to see like sort of a middle range of LED bulbs that last a long time that would be suitable for outdoors. And I found a Philips LED 60-watt bulb with 11,000 hours of use and standard size. And each bulb would be, I had to do a bit of math, $3.10, roughly $3.10. I was going to suggest 150 because, you know, we may have people come back after and say, hey, I want to be part of it after the initial push. So then there would be some extra ones for them, or it could be carried over if it's a success to the next year, or the municipality can use bulbs, right? So the total amount would come to about $465. We might be able to get those cheaper. I kind of went with the middle of the road. I didn't go with the really cheap ones, but I didn't go with the really high end ones. I kind of picked the one in the middle that I thought would be most representative. And the window clean stickers, there's a number of companies that do them. Vistaprint is great because you can do your design or they will help you with the design. And I've used them a lot for things like business cards and promotional products and so on. So their window clean stickers for a 5x5, let's say we do 100 stickers, not 150. That would be 719.81, including the taxes. So that was rough, sort of thing, but it gives us an idea. You know, even if you put the amount for the bulbs up to $500 to round that up, and then we have the window clean stickers, and it's an odd number, $719. Maybe you put it up to $750, just in case there's some other setup costs or whatever. And other than that, which I don't have numbers for, I would think that maybe some we might want to have a couple of ads in the local paper to promote it. You know, with a porch light design on it or something like that, so it looks like a coach house, like lay or whatever, in that. So that won't be me drawing it because I am not done, but I can visualize it. So, you know, we're not talking about a quarter-page ad, but it should be probably an ad on our right-hand page in the upper right-hand corner, so people get attention. And you can ask for that position, so then people will see it more readily. So those are the things I came across. They're really, I haven't come across any other porch light project with the same mission as this committee might have around heritage and culture and so on. There's a lot of them, again, that to do with public safety and whatever, but mostly in the US. So I think it's going to be kind of groundbreaking. It's going to be something that, you know, it may be being done somewhere, but I wasn't able to find it. So
Pretty sure it's Saskatoon.
Saskatoon's got it?
Yeah, they've
I'll
got
find out.
something similar, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
yeah.
look into that some more for fleshing this out a bit later. But,
Sorry, is that?
Saskatoon.
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, and I think the intent was to make the community welcome as you're coming in.
yeah, and that's sort of this similar comes, I'm definitely gonna look at that. So, yeah, so anyway, I don't think it's as expensive as staff indicated for 2000, unless they have some super duper light bulbs that will never extinguish and be perfect for minus 40 degrees. There's something, I don't know.
I'm just going by what the director of
Yeah,
public works.
Yeah,
told me,
that's
so.
interesting. I wonder what would be included in that cost, but you know, Amazon, you can get a business rate too. I mean, municipality could probably have get the business rate on that stuff, right? So it'd be even cheaper, but I think for purposes of budgeting, that's kind of, those are the numbers I would put forward. For
you
this
think
cost.
$1,500 should do?
Yeah, so I said, what did I say, $750 and
1250 is what, 500 and
Yeah.
750 is
yeah,
1250.
so $1250 and then
But that doesn't include
we
advertising.
don't know what the advertising would be. Has anybody advertised recently in other times?
Yeah, you can do like a full page ad, like a full
Yeah.
insert. I think it was at $600, but a smaller one is only about $100.
Oh, really? Okay, because it would be better to not splash out on just one, but to have it in a few subsequent issues so that people see it. So how much would you estimate for that?
Depends on how much you want to advertise.
Like 3 ads, you mentioned the maybe putting it in 3 times. So 3 subsequent weeks where people will say, hey, I think I saw that last time. Oh, wait, there it is. You know, because when you're flipping through a paper, you can miss stuff.
So are you thinking the Nova Times or are you thinking Peterborough This Week and?
Yeah, because the lower times.
Peterborough this week, sorry to interrupt, Peterborough this week, like 15 or 18 other ones are all done.
Are all done, yeah.
They're all done, the
Yeah.
printer,
Really?
yeah, the
Yeah.
printer folded up.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
That's
I know they're not my papers. I didn't know they were folded.
So there was a company that we printed for about 18 of them,
Oh, yeah.
they're done.
think the examiner is still
Yes,
available.
yes.
Yeah, I think the.
But the rates-
All the time, don't you papers left?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the examiner is a lot more
It's a
expensive.
lot,
'cause
yeah,
it's
of
more,
course, it's a daily, so.
it's a
yeah.
daily and it's
Yeah,
a
it's-
wider
I
circulation.
worked there briefly many years ago, it'd be a lot more expensive, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I don't know what the politics of that, because not everybody in Monaghan, for example, would they be getting the paper? I know when I had a newspaper, we distributed to North Monaghan, it was free distribution. So, but I don't know about the lower times of circulation in that area. See, I mean, I guess you don't want to have people come back and say, well, we didn't know about it, because it's all in Millbrook, or whatever, right? Which can happen.
I would say the Nova Times covered more papers in our area than the examiner.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Because if you look at the blue boxes at the end of the driveway or examiner boxes, they're very few of them at the end of the driveway.
because it's a paid subscription, there's no times it's free.
Yeah, you could also do an insert like a flyer inside the paper as well. That's also very useful. It's on colored paper that catches people's eye. So if it was yellow or something maybe related to light, with the design on it, a flyer in the paper, I'm not sure what the insertion rate would be, but the cost would be obviously to, come up with whatever it would cost to develop the flyer. It doesn't have to be fancy, you just have that sketch of a flashlight and whatever on it, and then copying. So that's another option. So.
In
Can
the
we
examiner,
advertise through the town, like they do for public meetings? The town advertise?
well, we can use our website, we can use our social media.
Yeah, all of that should also be applied, but I'm just thinking of folks who might think back on the time when there was porch light on in every porch. They're more likely to see it in the paper as well, so. And it's also supporting it. I mean, we can get out of that. If you buy advertising from the Over Times, then it's a little easier to persuade the editor to get involved in reporting on it. You know what I mean, when I had a paper here, that was definitely an incentive. I didn't ask people to advertise or I would write about them, but I know that's how it works. Yeah.
I think you're right with the flyer. More people will get the flyer, will get a paper. You're more likely to see it.
So are you talking about doing like a?
Like she said, just make a flyer, throw it in. Hey, we'll get that one called real estate. Advertising.
Yeah. So to tuck it in with the
Yeah, tuck it
newspaper,
in.
yeah, I do believe that is a higher rate because it stands out more, but
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
not
think it's
sure.
too bad. at all.
yeah.
I remember it being an affordable option for advertising for a lot of local businesses that they would make this up and we would insert it along with any other things that had to be inserted into the paper before it was circulated. So a lot of organizations, repairs organizations and whatever, them are doing that for various things. So I don't think that negates doing the advertising in the paper. I think it's still a good idea to do the 3 issues in a row. And then hopefully, I mean, I have no problem talking to the editor. I can talk to Karen about, coverage and give her some story ideas and whatever to run with. Because it's fun. It would be a great story for this and the follow up. If anyone's willing to be interviewed and all that, it could be quite a story. Yeah, because I think we are going to be really groundbreaking. So, yeah. Yeah.
So circling back to the amount, what your, we kind of tossed around 1,500, 2,000.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Depending on the cost of the advertising and the flyer insertion. So I'm trying to, I can't off the top of my head remember what we used to charge for flyer insertion. So the cost of a flyer production is with the organization, right? So that would be through the municipality or.
Yeah, we can do
whatever,
that
right?
in-house.
And then the actual insertion rate, gosh, off the top of my head, I don't know. So
Sorry, just really sure to interrupt. Sorry, what paper are we thinking to insert it? Because sort of to circle back,
Different.
is the free paper now is not coming anywhere. So the only one would be the Peterborough Examiner.
Well, so I think the Millbrook Times is still free paper.
It's a free paper.
But it doesn't, I think that we're not sure the circulation's working on again.
Yeah,
I believe the circulation
I think
is
it's
far and wide because
Yeah.
we have used it through
Through
Mr.
the
Chair,
tabs,
we use it
that's
for
the
planning
email.
applications.
I would think there's over time to cover more people than
Yeah.
that can.
Yeah.
They say there's a lot more,
I would agree.
it's going out to everybody.
yeah,
For the Peterborough Examiner, you
No.
look for the mailboxes on the road, there isn't too
Yeah.
many.
yeah, so definitely, like, when I had the Green Hills Gazette, we definitely covered the farm, and we definitely delivered in that area, so I can't imagine we'll be doing it much differently, with their circulation. And so that way, you know, at least you don't have anyone coming back to folks who are elected to say, hey, how come? You know, is this another one of those Millbrook focused projects, you know? That used to be an issue.
Well, no, I think Melbourne Times would get your more advertisement.
Yeah.
We're trouble with flyers. They won't designate where they say go, so you might wind up with flyers over in economy, or you might wind up with flyers in the county.
Yeah,
Because it all depends on what's the man.
Actually, they can by postal code, they can designate it. So the paper can, I know because we used to do this. So if you say we want it to go to LOA 1GO, that would be Millbrook, right? And then, sure, it was LOA 1CO, I believe was another one. They're all different postal code areas, so there might be another link in St. Bethany or whatever, but you can't specify that. And they can in their preparation of the paper and circulation of that. And it costs less than a blanket.
so if we do $1,500,
Yeah.
the $1,250 would roughly cover your materials.
Yeah,
So that would leave roughly $250 for advertising. If you did smaller ads, I think it would probably give you 3 or 4 smaller ads in another
as I
time.
said, upper right hand corner, the right page
Sure.
would help with that.
Sure, so is that, does that seem reasonable?
Seems, I'm always nervous to underfund something.
I don't think it sounds like enough.
Yeah,
Not for
2,000?
Mhm.
You want to do 2,000?
2,000 would be reasonable, yeah.
You may get a cheaper sticker cost, because
For
it's all about
sure.
the light bulb, and yet the
Yeah.
light bulb is less money than the
There's
sticker.
differences that I got sort of the middle of the road based on that, but, you know.
Like 5.5 is pretty big too, right?
Yeah, they don't have to be quite that big. So that was just for the purpose of coming up with some reasonable approximation of what it might cost, so. 2,000 or maybe 2,500. Do other people think?
I don't know, 1,053.
Well, you're gonna spend it, so
Yeah,
it'll be easier to spend.
yeah. So does anyone else have an idea?
I just please the number high. And
Okay,
they're going for budget approval anyway, so.
yeah, they could always whittle it down. Yeah, sometimes it's better to ask for more, because knowing that they're gonna be looking for places to cut. What does anyone else think?
Okay.
And you know it. Inside.
Yeah,
Because many councils won't help them, but budgets are going up.
yeah, well, I would say that we could ask for 3 and hope for 2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty hard to ask for a little bit more. But I was,
Okay, I agree.
So is 3,000 the number?
so do we ask for 3,000, knowing we'll probably drop it to maybe 2,500?
I did it 6,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess, if before you go into the meeting, you need anything that's gonna try to work on a little mini proposal, like a 2-pager. That's just to put in the promotional aspect, why it's important, so we can be persuasive, that's, if you need that. Just let me know time.
Okay, we're going on to number 12.
Restoration
of the bell.
of the bell. So what's your, I think it said stock will research the location of the bell to report back. So I think we decided on the location. I think we just weren't sure of the funds, but I think you had said, Councilor, between the just anchoring it down.
we I can talk to the guy when I find out, I talked to Chris, he was way back in the trailer. We're gonna get some pictures so we can find out whether we can bolt it down, how he anchored that thing.
Right, right,
Like, I don't want to just set up in the tower, or how it was anchored down.
Yeah,
Find out,
yeah.
and then I'll get a hold of the guy that,
so,
go down, it's on it, to up for the platform on. Then one of the costs will be, but the plaque would
Yeah,
stay on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
And you
we
might-
sold that in certain places, stuff with the bells out there. Whatever they do with the bells and bells.
yeah, so
Oh, yeah,
really
Put a chain on it too, and then anchor the chain.
mounting and signage, right, are kind of our two big costs, right?
Yeah, it's all, I can find out from the guy what he wants, like. I think, we looked out there, we thought we put it like in the corner of the flower bed, right out at the front.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I think location wise, we can
Yeah.
kind of
So,
tinker
or
with
the
that.
guy can just auger a hole down and then a sonotube and put a foot, and hold in with a flat
Alright,
plate so we can hold on.
So
But I'd
roughly
like
how
to-
much-
but I'd like to see how big the platform is, we have to set it on, whether it's 18 inches or 24, I don't know. Jeff was supposed to want to get me a picture of.
Okay, so roughly, if we were to just throw a budget, would 5,000, you think be plenty?
I would think 5,000 could cover it with a small little plaque beside it.
Okay,
I guess we're getting right down to the budget, we can number the letters, the plaque. Number how big of a feed you put on the plaque,
right,
yeah.
yeah,
no, we
We
can get
can
a
always-
brass plaque for about, for around $500.
yeah, okay, so you can kind of, you can always put, like a little QR code, which will take people to a website if
Yeah.
you want to create more verbiage and you want a little bit more detailed history.
Yeah.
You can kind of keep it concise on the sign, and then
Yeah.
if people want more information, they can always use a QR code.
Would there be maybe a photograph in the back of this signage of it in the tower, like to show where it was? I don't know, maybe the Historical Society has a picture of it or something.
I don't know, I think the little thing that on top of the roof, whatever you call it, they have a name that they're bell in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still on top of the building down there, actually. They just took the bell out of it, like they
They,
didn't.
yeah, and they restored it recently.
Yeah, like they didn't wreck that part of it, so,
No, they did their job.
yeah, so you're right, somebody with a good camera could take that, and that could be a little photo behind where it came from. First of all, we gotta find out what the base
What
side
kind of
is,
pad,
and
yeah.
what kind of a pad we need.
Yeah,
So just, sorry, it's okay. Are you gonna like bolt it down or put it on something so it swings?
No, we would bolt it right
So
down.
we're talking
Right down,
about
okay.
and putting a post in the ground and attaching it to the post in some way.
But it still could be operable.
Yeah, still be, yeah, we'll still be out, we'll be sitting on like, so if it's an 18-inch sonotube down and it's 18-inch base, then the bell would sit on there, but the donger thing would still be there.
if the bell's sitting though, would you hear the little donger?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't bother it at all, because,
So doesn't it have to swing though?
yeah, it has to swing, but the base was big enough so it had to swing originally when it was up on top of the roof.
Okay,
But I don't know how they rang it, I presume it had an arm on it, with a rope coming down, then people wouldn't run up there to ring them.
right, right,
Like there was no ladder, like there was no step inside going up
right,
to that ceiling.
That's a
Right.
tiny person.
Yeah. No, so like they didn't go up steps like the ring, like the ones in the church, they all rang with a rope, the ones at the school rang with a.
And then there were people that had flat noses, they would see your face and things about.
Through you,
Yeah,
Chair.
like, yeah,
Oh, sorry.
so when it's mounted down, if the arm is on the side, it would still ring.
okay, gotcha.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'm not sure if that budget of $5,000 is enough. If we take a comparison of what we've just allotted for the porch light project, for only $2,000, we're going to be basically getting into construction, and we have something we need to mount. We don't know how we're going to mount it. And we need to mount it in a way that it's not going to be able to be picked up and taken away. So I was thinking maybe even closer to $8,000 by the time you get into prepping, pouring concrete, then maybe have to get someone involved to take a look at how to design, possibly weld something on the interior to be able to actually bolt that down to the concrete
platform, then signage, we know that's not cheap either. So yeah, I'm even thinking maybe, 8,000 is tight, is skinny. And if we're sort of just have the discussion, if we're saying, oh, let's ask for a bit more. And does the bell need to be restored at all too before it's put outside? You don't even know what it looks like either.
This is a project council should approve, so.
So like you could easily start going, okay, is it 8? Did we ask for 10, hoping we get 8?
I
Have that
would
same
think, I
discussion.
would think we hit it, like 8 would be pretty high, because there has to be a base on, it has to be bolted down up on the roof. Like it wasn't just sitting in a box up there, it would be strapped and found somehow.
Right. Right.
There has to be a base put in up here too.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is not a small project. And
Well, if it was-
I think you're right as
Yeah.
far as dollars.
So
If
let's
you were
ask for 10.
That's what honestly, that's what I'm thinking. Even like through public works, like what would, even just to put a pole up at the sign saying 60 kilometers is not cheap. Every time you get 2 guys out there a day, X amount per hour.
10,000?
Sure.
Is
It's an
it-
explanation.
You got
You
some
may have
to do.
you may have to explain this.
Yeah, I'll get my.
Well, we can get Chris like together pictures to show the council.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
bell actually
the
is,
size of it.
yeah, the size of we're putting down.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't want to walk away again.
Oh, well, it'll definitely have to be fastened.
Yes, language in the community improvement plan about township initiatives, about how the township can kind of do like initiatives in terms of revitalization and heritage preservation. I think we could probably pull from that to support the project.
Good support.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's a big part of our heritage.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that would make council feel good if they knew that.
Yeah.
It's tied to another, something they heard, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that'd be a great fundraiser. Who wants to ring the bell on New Year?
Right.
Right?
There is the traditional, why the bells were rang.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's good stories about that. Yeah.
Kick in $100 and we'll let you ring the bell.
Okay.
So do we now a motion, Madam Clerk?
Yes, so I think if the committee agrees, let staff do the first half with rollover. I think staff feels comfortable with those dollar values, but I think we should have an initiative or a motion to support the new initiatives for the 2024 consideration. I think we're gonna keep it the Porch Light project. Is that kind of the title? We still want to keep that?
Yeah.
And then do we just want to continue to call it the restoration of the bell or the bell from the former municipal office? And then I think when we get closer, staff will reach out so that Bridget and Karen don't have to present themselves. I think
Yeah.
the champions of the initiative should come and help in collaboration to prepare, all the information that we need to go to a presentation. We have some pictures coming in here hot, so we've got some ideas people are thinking to do with the bell. So if the committee agrees, we can do one combined motion. But I think that's how it needs to look, because we should get those final numbers in there.
So the one motion.
One motion, staff will
Okay.
finalize your rollover numbers and everything that's in there. And then we just want to support your new initiatives for your 2024 or your 2024 consideration, which would be your Porch Light project. And I think we're going to ask for $3,000 and then the restoration of the bell, and we're going to ask for $10,000. So you need a mover and a seconder.
I will move it.
I'll second.
Everybody agree?
We're in exciting times. It's going to be very interesting to write stories for us.
Maybe on the ring in the meeting.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether it has. Only these bells up like the. If it's not done, you look, I don't know. The bells I have there.
So- 7.2, 37 King Street. Excuse me. More for your information, because it's something that happens very quickly. 37 Queen King is the Dial House. And I had met with the owner some time ago. And originally the house had a designated plaque on it. And at some point the plaque had been removed to paint the house and never put back on, and it was lost. Then the new owner bought the house without the plaque. And he's been there for almost 5 years. And extremely upset that the house was designated and that it didn't have a plaque on it. So he came to me, and I knew the plaques weren't available any longer. So I gave him a drawing, very detailed drawing of my plaque, and gave it back to him and gave him the correct language, numbers to go on the plaque, the date and everything. And he took it to Norwood to a blacksmith. And he had a duplicate brass plaque made. And it was very well made. And through conversation, we decided to take advantage of some publicity, both for him, the house, this organization, and the Heritage Company, the Heritage Organization. So we organized an installation party of the plaque on October the 5th. And he invited the blacksmith who made the plaque, who by chance was having students at his class, and he brought his students with him. Ashley was there, I'm part of this committee, and we had Deputy Mayor Ryan Huntley there, and members of the Historical Society. We ended up with quite a nice little group, and we installed the plaque on the house, lots of pictures and whatnot. And then we got a full tour of the house, top to bottom, and that was interesting. Ashley was there taking pictures, and I think he really enjoyed it, an opportunity to go through a place like that. So our little get together was quite successful, and obviously we're doing photos, and we're going to do something on Facebook and something on the Heritage, the Historical Society's newsletter, which will be coming shortly. And it was an interesting opportunity for the Heritage Society and this organization to work together on a project. And I know it's something we talked about at one other time, and this was an opportunity for it to happen, but unfortunately it was all last minute. And what forced the situation so quickly was this gentleman's wife was leaving for Europe in a couple of days, and he wanted her involved in it. So we had to really move quickly. And, anyway, I just want everybody to know what had happened and how successful it was on such short time.
Cool. I have a question. How can we get to know about these things that are happening? Because I usually hear about them after they've happened. Because I would have loved to attend something like that.
Well, it's just, as I say, it was one of those things. If you can imagine, I organized this thing in 2 days.
Okay, no, not necessarily
And,
this one, but it sort of feels like we should, maybe there should be an email to members of the community and say, hey, this thing's happening, if you want to come, whatever it is in the future.
Well, the Historical Society has a newsletter.
Yeah.
And in the newsletter are all of the upcoming events. Now, I don't know, do you get a newsletter up here from the Historical Society at all?
if you're asking me, Mr. Chairman, I don't know off the top of my head, but would that have addressed this specific situation, how quick the turnaround was? I think Ms. Luchuk is questioning if these situations happen, if we're going to be in collaboration, like I don't even know if Councillor Edgerton was invited as the representative from the revitalization committee. I think to be fair, if we're going to have this committee represented, I think Ms. Luchuk is right, that it should be circulated to the entire committee. This is a feel-good story. This is not to take away from how
Yeah.
great this is. I think all she's just saying is if this is something that the committee is going to be represented at, we should definitely have our council representative there, as well as the other members if they're available. Even if you just send that email out, like on our agenda one that I send out to everybody for these meetings, like, oh, we're doing a type of event.
Well, there's
Did-
lots of
did
other
that-
things coming
No,
up.
okay.
And
I think if we're going to partner, if you're going to put this committee in a partnership, I think we should definitely work with staff on that so that we know, from a municipal perspective, where these partnerships are occurring, and then we can make sure we have the right people there and that type of thing.
If I could add to that too, so if you're attending, and it is totally a good news story, so
It is,
not
yeah.
to be
Yeah. It's a great story.
negative,
Great
but
story.
we also do have a protocol from the communication standpoint. So if members of the committee are representing the committee and representing the township, we do need to be aware of that, and we do need to kind of have some knowledge of what is going on. We could be asked to make a comment, and in which case, we have to be mindful of what that is. So,
Brian didn't say anything he shouldn't have said.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah,
Trust me.
but we do have a communications protocol
Oh, I
that we do have to
understand.
follow.
I
So,
understand. It's interesting, I was not gonna bring this up for the very reason that we're now in this discussion. But then I thought you should be aware of it because you're gonna hear about it or you're gonna read about it somewhere and not know what was going on. So that's the reason that I brought it up. And I understand the reasoning what you're talking about, but bear with me, please. In 2 days, I had to contact about 9 different people and change the time. Time got changed twice, trying to get all these people together. So I sat on the phone for a day, calling people back and changing the time from 4 till 3. And I just wasn't gonna start calling any more people.
So again, thank you for everything you do, but one quick call to the township office that could have helped.
And we're masters of scheduling people's schedules. That's what we do. 90% of our job is scheduling schedules for other people.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, and through you, Chair, that if nobody knows that better than we do, how to kind of pull things together last minute, and we could support you on that. And echo Karen's comments, thank you for doing that. I think you just have to be cautionary. If you were asked to comment and your comments didn't reflect the general consensus of the committee, that could be a little bit of a challenge. That's where we can kind of support you from a communications. But, it is a good news story,
And if there are other events coming up through your chair, which you just mentioned, if you circulate them to staff, we can put them on the community calendar. We can put them out there so people know about them.
Because there are other events coming
Absolutely.
up, and there's some
and
really
we can promote it through social media
Yep.
too. We
Yeah.
do have a lot of followers that do keep,
And I think a lot of it goes back to the fact that we at one time, a year ago, talked about doing more together with the 2 different organizations on this kind of thing. It's good PR for both groups.
And look how quick you just made it happen.
Yeah.
Now hindsight's 2020, but texting so fast.
Yeah.
People now have their phones glued to them,
Yeah.
more so than their computers. That an email blast, how you set it up with a group, you just do one text and
I just wanted to make a comment. I think what you did was amazing. Pull it off over 2 days. I've had to do stuff like that myself. I guess my comment was more around like just being aware of what's going on. So maybe we should be getting a copy of the Historical Society newsletter, whatever. I don't know how that would work with the committee, but whatever. Honestly, I'm so busy. I'm not looking on websites for stuff. Like if someone puts something in front of my face, then I will participate for sure. And it sounds really wonderful what happened. So it's definitely not a criticism at all. I just feel like I'm out of the loop. I would like to know about more of these things going on, and so I agree with you. Text is right in front of your face, but it can be time consuming to send a whole bunch of texts out to you. So
Well, if you inadvertently leave your phone on airplane mode.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like I do get a copy of the newsletter, but let me check and I will flip it to you when I get it.
Okay, anything else? Anyone like to discuss?
Through Mr. Chairman, we're not allowed to do that. We're only allowed to talk about the items that are on the agenda. We don't just get to add random items.
Well, we're gonna put 7.3.
No, Mr. Chairman, we're not allowed to do that.
Discussion.
So no open discussions, now be our moment of adjournment.
Then the meeting is adjourned. Can I have a seconder?
Need a mover,
A mover? All right.
I'll move it.
seconder.
No, no, so
Everybody in favor?